Welcome to the Full Moon TV Buff, Episode 8. We're going to discuss the entire run of Wolf's Reign, which began in 2003. I watched this on Crunchyroll, and I rented the OVAs from Scarecrow Video. I have vague memories of seeing it when it first aired in America on Adult Swim, but rewatching it was like experiencing it for the first time. I found a lot to dig my teeth into here, so expect this episode to run long. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. As best I understand, I am sticking to the cast that is listed on the dubs. The show notes indicate links to a more complete credit list in English and Japanese. This crew collaborated on several major anime projects. Unless I mention it specifically, this crew worked on Cowboy Bebop in 1998 and the follow-up movie in 2001, which blended space western, jazz, and existential themes to become one of anime's greatest productions. The showrunner is Keiko Nobumoto. Prominent directors were Tensai Okamura, Yoshiyuki Takai, Ikuro Sato, Masahiro Ando, and Hiroyuki Kanami. Prominent writers were Keiko Nobumoto, Dai Saito, and Tensai Okamura. Keiko Nobumoto entered the entertainment industry after winning honorable mention in the 1989 Fuji Television Young Scenario Contest for Happy Family Planning. Her works include leading the writing for the groundbreaking anime series Cowboy Bebop in 1998. She created and wrote Wolf's Reign in 2003. Nobumoto wrote Tokyo Godfathers in 2003, wrote episodes for Samurai Champloo in 2004, and collaborated on Macross Plus in 1994. She died of esophageal cancer in 2021 at the age of 57. Tensai Okamura began his career at Madhouse as an animator on Lensman before making his directorial debut with Urusei Yatsura, Goat and Cheese, in 1989. His rise continued in 1995 with his first feature film, Memories, and his work as an animator on Ghost in the Shell. After going freelance, he created Darker Than Black beginning in 2007, a post-apocalyptic series highlighting his talent for complex characters and intricate narratives. Yoshiyuki Takai began as a key animator before rising to episode direction and storyboarding, with his breakthrough coming on The Vision of Escaflowne in 1996 and its 2000 film adaptation. Ikuro Sato began as a background artist in the 90s. He progressed to key animation and episode direction, mastering the medium. His breakthrough came with The Vision of Escaflowne in 1996. Masahiro Ando launched his career in the late 80s as a key animator, gaining recognition for dynamic action sequences in landmark works like Patlabor 2, the movie Ghost in the Shell, and The End of Evangelion. His feature film directorial debut was Sword of the Stranger in 2007. Later projects like Kanan in 2009 and Snow White with the Red Hair from 2015 through 2016 further showcased his versatility, blending kinetic action with strong character-driven storytelling. Hiroyuki Kanbei started out as an episode director and storyboard artist in the late 90s. Early works like Chrono Crusade in 2003 showcased his emerging talent, while later projects such as Yasuki in 2021 demonstrated his versatility across genres. Dai Sato initially worked in music and radio before transitioning to animation and scriptwriting, with his background infusing his work with the cultural references and musical sensibilities that became characteristic elements of his creative identity. Sato cemented his reputation on Ghost in the Shell standalone complex from 2002 through 2005 and Wolf's Reign in 2003. In 2005, as chief writer of Eureka 7, Sato received an award for Best Screenplay at the Tokyo International Anime Fair in 2006. His creative vision found another significant outlet in Samurai Champloo from 2004 through 2005, which blended historical fiction with hip-hop aesthetics and postmodern sensibilities. His impressive portfolio expanded with works including Ergo Proxy, Cashern, Space Dandy, and Altered Carbon, re-sleeved in 2020. I will point out that since I watched the English dub, I am covering that cast. I assume the original Japanese voice cast was talented as well, but I didn't listen to them. The regular cast includes Sarah Hauser as Blue, Crispin Freeman as Sume, Joshua Seth as Hige, Johnny Young Bosch as Kiba, Mona Marshall as Taboe and Grandmother. Sarah Hauser is probably best known for Yu Yu Hakusho, Ghost Files, and Yokai Watch. Crispin Freeman's career began in 1997 when he took over the role of Selgadas Greywards in Slayers. He gained recognition as Alucard in Hellsing. Other iconic anime roles included the Fate series, Naruto, and Togusa in Ghost in the Shell. Freeman voiced roles in Marvel and DC projects like Young Justice and The Spectacular Spider-Man. His video game work includes Helios in God of War, Winston in Overwatch, and Breakdown in Transformers War for Cybertron. Beyond acting, Freeman is a dedicated educator running Voice Acting Mastery, a podcast and resource for aspiring actors. Joshua Seth is a voice actor, author, and mentalist who rose to prominence in the late 90s as Tai Kamiya and Digimon Adventures. He built a career voicing characters like Tetsuo and Akira and roles in SpongeBob SquarePants and Cowboy Bebop. Seth retired from voice acting in 2006 to pursue a successful career as a mentalist, performing over 2,000 shows in over 30 countries and authoring Finding Focus in a Changing World. He delighted fans by returning to voice acting in 2016. He now balances voice acting, convention appearances, and his award-winning mind-reading show. Johnny Young Bosch, inspired by Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, excelled in martial arts before being cast as Adam Park, the Black/Green Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 1993. His voice acting career began with Canada in the Akira redub, expanding into Trigun, Eureka 7, and multiple Naruto characters. Bosch gained prominence as Yu Narukami in Persona 4 from 2008 and achieved iconic status voicing Ichigo Kurosaki in the Bleach franchise since 2006. His distinguished career continues with roles in One Piece, Netflix's Evangelion redub, and Boruto, Naruto's Next Generations. Mona Marshall has a career spanning 4 decades. She gained recognition for her work on Comedy Central's South Park, joining in 1999 following Mary Kay Bergman's departure. Alongside April Stewart, Marshall voices many of the show's female characters, most notably Kyle's mother, Sheila Broflowski, and Butter's mother, Linda Stotch. Her work extends to the show's video game adaptations as well. Before South Park, Marshall had roles in classic series like Fraggle Rock in 1987. Her career expanded significantly when she entered anime dubbing, portraying Koshiro Izumi in Digimon, Digital Monsters in 1999, demonstrating her talent for voicing young male characters. Notable guest stars include Carrie Walgreen as Cher Degree, Tom Weiner as Quint Yaden, Bob Buchholz as Hub Lebowski, Sherry Lynn as Cheza, Steve Bloom as Darcia/the Elder, and Mary Elizabeth McGlynn as Jagira. Carrie Walgreen has an impressive 640 credits at IMDb, which makes picking the highlights tough. She quickly became a sought-after talent in anime dubbing. Walgreen's career expanded significantly into Western animation. She's done voices on Samurai Champloo, Naruto, DC Superhero Girls, Phineas and Ferb, Winx Club, Gravity Falls, Rick and Morty, Arcane, What If, and Invincible. Video game roles include Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, Brutal Legend, State of Decay 2, and Cyberpunk 2077. I've played all of those. One of Tom Weiner's earliest roles was his ADR talent on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Most of his roles are voice work, dubbing anime. Notable projects include Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Street Fighter 2. He's done work in video games on projects like EverQuest 2 and World of Warcraft. Bob Buchholz is a prolific voice actor in English language animation and dubbing. Notable projects include Akira and Outlaw Star. He has also done quite a bit of work as an English language dialogue director. Sherry Lynn is a veteran voice actress working across animation, video games, and anime since the 1980s. She gained recognition for anime roles in Ghost in the Shell, Mobile Suit Gundam, and Trigun. In Western animation, she contributed to Inside Out, The Little Mermaid, Toy Story, and Monsters, Inc. Lynn's gaming work includes Final Fantasy and Dot Hack. Veteran voice actor Steve Bloom has hundreds of roles, including Spike Spiegel in Cowboy Bebop, Wolverine across multiple X-Men projects, Zeb Orioles in Star Wars Rebels, and villains like Orochimaru in Naruto. His extensive video game work includes Grunt in Mass Effect, Tank Dempsey in Call of Duty, and characters in Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, and Final Fantasy VII. Recent work includes roles in Star Wars projects, including The Mandalorian, Wheeljack in the Bumblebee film, and characters in Transformers Prime, Mortal Kombat, and Avatar: Legend of Korra. He continues as Tom, the robotic host of Cartoon Network's Toonami on Adult Swim. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is a multifaceted talent working as a voice actress, director, writer, and singer. She gained recognition on the Silent Hill video game franchise, providing voice acting and performing haunting vocal tracks. Her voice acting portfolio includes iconic anime roles such as Major Motoko Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, Cowboy Bebop, and Naruto. In Western animation and games, she's voiced characters in Steven Universe, Lego Marvel's Avengers, and World of Warcraft. As a director and adaptive scriptwriter, McGlynn has overseen English dubs for numerous anime series, including Naruto and Wolf's Rain. I recommend Wolf's Rain if you're looking for a thought-provoking, philosophical story with beautiful animation and memorable characters. Now, like a lot of anime, it can move slowly. The first half of the second season is essentially just a recap of the first season. It demands your attention and emotional investment, but the payoff is absolutely worth it. Additionally, this is a complete tale, with a beginning, middle, and end. It wasn't canceled before we discovered Eric Cord's final fate, or before we learn all the secrets kept in Wolf Lake. This means that we can dig into completely and complexly expressed themes instead of incomplete and unfinished metaphors. Feel free to skip the second through the fifth episodes of the second season, as they are just recaps. So let's cover the premise. The world is dying, and wolves are thought to be extinct. A legend states that in the final days, paradise will appear, but only wolves can find it. Wolves have evolved to psychically disguise themselves as humans for camouflage and protection. Our heroes form a small pack to search for paradise, which can only be opened by the Flower Maiden. Their journey pits them against corrupt nobles, hunters, robots, and the harsh environments of a world on its last legs. They are relentlessly hunted by Quint Yaden and his dog, Blue. As far as core characters go, we start with Kiba, who is an idealistic white wolf driven by instinct and his unwavering faith in paradise. He is prideful and hates to back down. He is disgusted that wolves must hide from humans. He is also the least likely to give up on, well, anything. He dresses like a 50s greaser. Tsume is a cynical gray wolf who initially dismisses the legend of paradise, but gradually develops faith in the pack, even if he remains skeptical about salvation. He dresses in ripped black leather, has white hair, and is far too cool to care about anything, except he totally does. Taboe is the youngest wolf, inexperienced and compassionate, who forms the pack's emotional core. He is easily the most attached to humanity and regularly puts himself and the pack at risk trying to bond with humans. He's also the only wolf who wears jewelry in his true brown wolf form, bracelets that were given to him by the old woman who found him and raised him as a pup. Hige is a laid-back brown wolf, content to follow rather than lead. He wears a dog collar in both forms. He hides secrets even from himself. He's easily the most likely to slink away from a fight if given the chance. He wears loose clothes and is the wolf most comfortable blending in with humanity, although he doesn't empathize with them in the same way that Taboe does. Cheza is a girl artificially created from flowers who ultimately leads the wolves to paradise. She photosynthesizes instead of eating. She has strange red eyes, anime purple hair, and wears a sci-fi jumpsuit. She stands out visually from, well, everything else in the show. She's much more of a guffin than an actual character with an arc or desires of her own. Lord Darcia is a noble affected by paradise sickness, who seeks Cheza to save his wife. He frequently wears a mask, reminiscent of the Phantom of the Opera. At some point, he lost an eye, which was replaced with a wolf eye, so he looks like a pirate when not in his full regalia. While nobles appear human, they have psychic or some kind of supernatural powers derived from alchemy. Lord Darcia is the grandson of the man who wrote the Book of the Moon. Lady Jagura is a noble whose presence is felt obliquely for the first two-thirds of the series. She dresses provocatively in armor that doesn't cover her most vital areas. She wears a spiked codpiece. Like Darcia, she wears an ornate mask in public. She has ankle-length blonde hair. Jagura plans to force the last wolf to give her access to paradise so she can steal it for the nobles. Quint seeks vengeance against the wolves for the death of his son. He has a soft spot for children. He is a grizzled old man who looks and feels inspired by the fisherman Quint from Jaws. He's a shoot-first kind of guy. He's supposed to be a crack shot, but honestly, he misses far more shots than he hits. Blue is a large and ferocious black dog with enough wolf's blood in her veins to be drawn to Cheza. She wears a spiked collar. She was originally Quint's son's dog and seeks to avenge the boy as well. She wears thigh-high boots, a fashionable coat, and a stylish red scarf in her human form. Cher de Grey is one of the scientists who created Cheza. She is trying to retrieve her experiment. Her loyalties are torn. She wants to study Cheza and the wolves, but she also wants them to be free. She is beautiful but cold. Hub Lebowski reminds me of a human golden retriever. He's Cher's ex-husband and a cop. He's straight-laced and loyal. He dresses like an old-school gumshoe. He is trying to get Cher to give up her pursuit and return to everyday life. So now let's review the synopsis. Season 1, Episode 1, City of Howls. On a tundra, Mad Max extras engage in train robbery against a very well-armored train. Kiba arrives in Freeze City and meets Sume. Kiba gets himself captured. Hige rescues him. Scientist Cher studies Cheza, the mysterious flower maiden. In Episode 2, called Taboe, Who Doesn't Howl, we meet young wolf Taboe, who struggles between his attachment to humans and his innate wolf nature. Kiba and Hige let themselves be captured so that they can attempt to rescue the flower maiden Cheza from Lord Darcia's machinations. Sume's human gang abandons him, so he takes Taboe under his wing. Episode 3, Badfellow. Lord Darcia taunts the wolves and takes Cheza out of Freeze City. The four wolves finally meet and form an uneasy alliance. Realizing that the flower scent that drew them all to the city is gone, the four escape the city and start their search for paradise. Episode 4, Scars in the Wasteland. Amidst the wreckage of a city annihilated by war, Tsume and Taboe find themselves hunted by an ancient war machine. The robot really seems to want Tsume dead, but Kiba saves the day. Episode 5, Fallen Wolves. In an island city, wolves who have abandoned their pride and serve humans now as beasts of burden try to dissuade our heroes from going on their quest. The first female wolf we've seen, Cole, tempts Hige with food and companionship. Of course, Kiba takes on 6 wolves on his own when he realizes what they have become. Episode 6, The Successor. While Kiba heals from his wounds, he lost that fight, the fallen wolf pack splinters over their responses to our hero's optimism. Hige is captured. A few fallen wolves assist Kiba, Sume, and Taboe in rescuing him. They find a tunnel that allows them to continue their journey. Quent finally sobers up and resumes his hunt for the wolves. Episode 7, The Flower Maiden. A flashback reveals that Lord Darcia needs Cheza to save his ill wife. Cheza escapes him, and the wolves finally meet her and experience her unique connection to their kind. Cheza utilizes her mystical powers to aid the pack in escaping the humans that are pursuing them. Episode 8, Song of Sleep. An ancient woman with the same red eyes as Cheza follows the wolves into the forest. She's waited for the Flower Maiden. She helps the pack escape the human hunters. The old woman wants Cheza to rejuvenate the world and not hunt for paradise. Cher finally sees through the wolves' disguise. Cheza chooses to go with the pack. Episode 9, Misgivings. Quint shows up on the wolf's trail. Cheza encounters Blue and awakens her wolf blood. The pack takes a more direct approach and escapes right through the encampment of soldiers hunting them into the forest of death. Kiba takes a bullet meant for Cheza, who heals him. Blue abandons Quint's mission. Episode 10, Moon's Doom. Cher falls into Lord Darcia's clutches and the two form an uneasy alliance to find Cheza. The pack is hopelessly lost in the uncanny forest. Cheza is dying of thirst. A ghost owl and a battle against a swarm of bugs lead them to a path to the other side of the forest. Episode 11, Vanishing Point. The full moon charges the pack and Cheza, revealing the path to paradise. Lord Darcia ambushes the pack, separating them from Cheza and allowing him to kidnap her. Unfortunately for Darcia, this comes too late to save his wife. Lady Jaguara's forces infiltrated Darcia's lair and killed Lady Darcia. Episode 12, Don't Make Me Blue. We finally see Blue's human form. The pack rescues her from some serious creeps and organ harvesters. Her identity crisis deepens as she feels drawn to the wolves. She feels torn between Quint and the pack. Episode 13, Men's Lament. Hub and Quint reluctantly join forces to find Cher and the wolves. They make quite the odd couple, budding road trip pair. The pack chooses to pursue Cheza, taking a detour from their search for paradise. Blue joins them. Quint learns this and is pretty shaken up. Hub finds Cher and she joins the human men. Moving on to Season 2, Episode 1, The Fallen Keep. The pack runs into a massive snowstorm. Kiba refuses to take refuge with the rest of the pack, pushing on to find Cheza alone if he has to. Cher, Hub, and Quint push on. Everyone slowly assembles at the ancient noble keep where Darcia has Cheza. Kiba and Darcia duel. Cheza, Blue, Cher, and Hub fall into the clutches of Lady Jaguara, who obliterates Darcia's keep. Episode 2, Grey Wolf. The episode recaps the story from Sume's point of view. He faces the painful truth that he cannot last in a pack with humans. He finally embraces his place in the wolf pack. It's essentially a clip show, so feel free to skip it. Episode 3, Dream Journey. This episode recaps the story from Taboa's perspective. You can skip this one as well. Episode 4, Scent of a Flower, Blood of a Wolf. This episode recaps the story from Hige's perspective, with a real focus on Cheza's limited interactions with the pack, another filler episode. Episode 5, Men, Wolves, and the Book of the Moon. This episode recaps the story from the human character's perspective. Hub narrates, but Cher and Quint get the spotlight as well. The last episode that it's safe to skip. Episode 6, A Dream of an Oasis. We finally get new story, and this episode is packed. With Kiba and Blue missing in the aftermath of the destruction of Darcia's keep, the other three wolves struggle to remain unified. Taboe nurses a severely injured Quint back to health, providing comfort. Kiba finds temporary respite in a mysterious illusionary oasis, which distracts him from his quest for paradise. Tsume, Higa, and Taboe fall in with an idealized tribe of nomadic Indians. The tribal elder tells the pack that finding paradise will destroy this world. It turns out that this tribe raised Kiba and set him on his path to paradise. Episode 7, Consciously. Taboe chooses to stay with the tribe. We learn Taboe accidentally killed the kind old woman who raised him. Ooh, that's dark. Tsume and Hige set off on their own. Jagura's shock troops lead the pack to Kiba's unconscious body. The tribal elder pulls Kiba out of his mental trap. Once reunited, the pack resumes their pursuit of Cheza and their search for paradise. Episode 8, Battle's Red Glare. The pack comes upon the final stages of a human battle. Lady Jagira's forces are launching attacks against other cities, looking for the wolves. They assist the defenders, and in return, the commander points them toward Jagira's capital city. The surviving human soldiers rally together. They plan to attack Jagira themselves and help the wolves. Hub, Cher, and Blue attempt to escape with Cheza. The human army rescues Cher and Blue, but Hub and Cheza remain imprisoned. Episode 9, Pieces of a Shooting Star. Quint finds himself traveling with refugees who have lost all hope. The pack must cross a dangerous ice floe, which pushes Taboe to his breaking point. A walrus the size of a giant elephant attacks the pack. Taboe finally really gets in touch with his wild side and kills the walrus, giving the wolves much needed food. Blue and Cher bond on the road. Episode 10, Heartbeat of the Black City. All roads lead to our cast to Jagira's domed city. The wolves infiltrate the undercity while Quint, Blue, and Cher gain access to the upper city. While the dome cuts off all the wolves from the moon's power, it seems to impact Hige most. An interaction with two soldiers hints at something mysterious in Hige's past. Episode 11, Scent of a Trap. It turns out Hige's collar marks him as number 23. Blue gets help from a cat. One by one, the city seems to intentionally isolate each member of the pack, while Lady Jagira cryptically spies on them through the omnipresent surveillance system. Blue learns that it was Jagira's goons who killed Quint's son before running into an increasingly irrational Hige. Tsume uncovers a trophy room of dead wolves wearing versions of Hige's collar and is captured. Episode 12, False Memories. We learn Hige's tragic backstory. His collar contains a tracker, and he's been conditioned and brainwashed. He's been used at least twice now to trap and destroy other wolves, and they're doing it again. Blue helps Hige remove the collar. Kiba fights his way to Cheza, only to learn that this is all a trap. Lord Darcia shows up and uses his psychic powers to infiltrate Lady Jagira's citadel. Blue and Hige develop a deeper bond as she embraces her wolf identity finally. Hige sets out to undo the damage he unknowingly did and rescue the pack. Episode 13, Moonlight Crucible. Lots of secrets are revealed. Lady Jagira is Lord Darcia's dead wife's sister. She loves Darcia and wants to gift him entrance to paradise. Hub, Tsume, and Taboe cooperate to stage a jailbreak. They reunite with Hige and save Kiba and rescue Cheza. Blue tells Quint the truth about the death of his son. He sees her in both her forms, and they tearfully reconnect. Kiba breaks free from his bonds. Darcia reveals that he has been using his psychic powers to become a wolf and earn his place in paradise. He breaks Jagira's collar. She stabs him with a poisoned dagger. Hige shows up and attacks her. She stabs Hige with her sword. Hige distracts her long enough for Kiba to attack her and for Darcia to finish her off. We now move on to the OVAs. OVA 1, Where the Soul Goes. The show gets grim in the aftermath of the battle between Jagira and Darcia. Humans gun each other down over the scraps of civilization. Cheza heals Hige from his wounds. The pack hunts for Blue. She's wandering in the wasteland trying to keep an eye on Quint, who doesn't care about anything anymore. He gets hit by a car while saving Blue. She drags him as far as she can, trying to save him. Hub and Cher find the aftermath of a gang turning on each other. They take the armored car but have nowhere to go. They do find an unconscious Quint and Blue. Blue smells Hige, and our entire 9 heroes are brought together for the first time. They don't get to be happy for long when a random orbital strike causes a wreck. Cher dies when the car falls hundreds of feet. Hub takes this about as well as you would expect him to. OVA 2, Gunshot of Remorse. Quint almost dies from a heart attack. Hub and Cheza resuscitate him with CPR. None of it matters, as Quint cannot let go of his hatred of wolves and wanders into the blizzard to die. Blue feels unworthy to enter paradise since she's only a half-breed. Higa feels unworthy due to his past as an unwitting spy for Jagira. They resolve to remain behind together. Darcia shows up and reveals himself to have been present when Quint's son died. Quint and Darcia draw on each other like it's the Old West. Taboe throws himself between the two. OVA 3, High Tide, High Time. Taboe takes 2 bullets meant for Quint, but can't stop Darcia from killing Quint anyway. The pair die next to each other, Quint petting Taboe to the last. They wake up together in a paradise. Is it just me, or is it getting dusty in here? Okay, Taboe finally opens up. His scar is a memento from when he abandoned his first pack and was cast out. The very oxygen is running out as the 6 survivors push toward an ancient dead tree. They continue on to a mountain peak where Hub slips and falls to his death. Wolf's Reign. In the final confrontation, Darcia completes his transformation into a massive black wolf. Kiba faces him in solo combat. The other 3 wolves are not having that, but Darcia is a monster. He mortally wounds Blue and Higa. They die holding on to each other. Cheza opens the portal to paradise by throwing herself into it. Sume falls in battle. As Darcia and Kibe tear into each other, Cheza tricks Darcia into a trap and transforms herself into 1,000 seeds. They sprout as Kiba dies. The last scene is 4 characters resembling our core 4 wolves in a new city. The series arc for Wolf's Reign follows the wolves' desperate search for paradise in a dying world. Initially, it's focused on finding Cheza and forming their unlikely pack. The story turns to exploring faith, destiny, identity, and rebirth. As the world crumbles around them, the wolves' journey becomes increasingly symbolic, representing hope in the face of inevitable destruction. The pack is alone amidst a world of enemies. The series builds towards a bittersweet conclusion that emphasizes cycles of death and rebirth, suggesting that paradise isn't a destination, but a possibility for renewal. The OVA episodes provide crucial closure, showing the full cycle complete, with hints that the wolves' souls will continue their search in a new world. There is a strong secondary plot about the nobles squabbling to control the scraps of the old world, which only accelerate the world's destruction. Wolf's Reign offers a unique take on transformation themes that are typical in werewolf stories. Rather than physically metamorphosize, the wolves possess an illusionary ability to appear human, a survival mechanism in a world where wolves are thought to be extinct. These aren't traditional shapeshifters. They're wolves, projecting human forms while maintaining their true wolf nature beneath. This serves as a metaphor for adaptation and identity in hostile environments. The transformation is portrayed through clever animation techniques, including quick cuts between wolf and human forms, reflections that reveal true forms, and blurred outlines during intense action sequences. Werewolf lore. Let's get this out of the way. The wolves in Wolf's Reign are not werewolves. They are close enough that I think we can discuss them as part of this project. To start with, they aren't humans who turn into wolves. They aren't even wolves who turn into humans. The show makes it very clear they are always wolves who just look human when they choose to. We repeatedly see that when they grab something, they're using their jaws rather than their hands. This frequently leads to misunderstandings as the wolves leave teeth marks, even when they're trying to help someone. Assistance can be misinterpreted and is misinterpreted as an attack. All of this means that Wolf's Reign takes the wolf metaphor in some very different directions than we've seen before. Unlike most conventional werewolf tales, the series portrays wolves as noble, endangered beings who are crucial to the world's renewal, rather than as cursed monsters. The lunar connection remains important. The flower maiden is created from lunar flowers, and the moon's decline parallels the dying world. Additionally, the wolves can subsist on energy they draw from the moon. There is a fictional banned book in the setting, the Book of the Moon, that reinforces the wolf's associations with the satellite, as well as the wolf's spiritual and mystical nature. The pack dynamic is central to the narrative, exploring loyalty and found family. Rather than silver being their weakness, the wolves are vulnerable to paradise sickness and the corruption of the human world. These wolves are born, they're not made, and since there's no physical transformation, the wolves have full consciousness and control in both forms. Most significantly, Wolf's Reign connects wolves to creation mythology, positioning them as instrumental in the wolf's rebirth cycle, elevating them from monsters to messengers with divine purpose. So let's move on and talk about environmental collapse in Wolf's Reign. Fictional narratives often explore dystopian futures and post-apocalyptic landscapes, sometimes just as backdrops, but frequently as elements that illuminate a broader theme of the art. Wolf's Reign serves as a meditation on environmental devastation, presenting a world in the final stages of full ecological collapse while simultaneously offering a narrative of hope, rebirth, and the search for paradise amid destruction. The setting functions as an active element shaping the protagonist's journey and communicating ideas about humanity's relationship with the natural world. Though the series never explicitly frames its narrative in environmental terms, preferring mystical and existential themes, its visual and narrative elements consistently portray a planet on its death throes. The landscape is dominated by two primary environments that signify ecological devastation: frozen tundras and barren deserts. The frozen cities of the north, where the early narrative unfolds, present urban environments being reclaimed by ice and snow. These are tombstones of human civilization, with inhabitants struggling against harsh conditions. The freezing temperatures and encroaching ice suggest a climate system that is fundamentally destabilized. In stark contrast, vast regions have become desert landscapes, stripped of vitality. These wastelands represent the consequences of resource extraction and environmental mismanagement. The camera lingers on these barren panoramas, emphasizing their emptiness and hostility to life. Together, these dominant environments, tundra and desert, create a visual dichotomy representing the extremes of environmental collapse, a world either too cold or too dry to sustain any biodiversity. Central to Wolf's Reign's ecological narrative is the concept of extinction. Most humans believe wolves are extinct, while they survive only by disguising themselves as human. This extinction narrative serves as both a literal plot element and a metaphorical device. The wolves represent wildness itself, a natural force that humanity has systematically eliminated. Their ability to disguise themselves as human functions as a metaphor for how wilderness has been forced to accommodate human dominance or perish. The ruling nobles live in domed cities, creating artificial environments isolated from the dying world outside. These domes represent humanity's technological response to environmental collapse, addressing symptoms rather than causes. The contrast between these controlled environments and the natural world the wolves inhabit highlights a fundamental dichotomy: technological separation versus natural integration. Lord Darcy's ancestral dome, with its perpetual flower garden, represents perhaps the most positive version of this artificial response, attempting to preserve what cannot be captured. Conversely, Jagira's city, with its strict isolation, suggests a society that has abandoned healing the planet in favor of creating insular spaces of refuge. These artificial environments raise concerns about technological fixes to environmental problems. The notion that humanity can engineer its way out of an ecological crisis. The series takes a critical view of this approach, revealing noble domains as ultimately unsustainable themselves and corrupted from within, destined and doomed to fail. Now, Cheza, the flower maiden created from lunar flowers through alchemy, is among the most complex environmental symbols of the series. As a being created from the last remnants of an extinct species, she embodies both the loss of the natural world and the potential for rebirth. Her existence as a hybrid, neither fully plant nor human, speaks to the blurred boundaries between nature and technology in a world where nature has been thoroughly compromised. Cheza's connection to the wolves establishes her as a bridge between the humans and the natural world. She responds physically to natural elements, thriving in moonlight and rainfall, withering in their absence, in ways that humans just don't. This sensitivity makes her both vulnerable, but it also makes her powerful, as she alone maintains connection to those natural cycles that the rest of the world has lost. Significantly, Cheza's ability to find and open the way to paradise positions nature itself as the guide to environmental redemption. Complicating this interpretation is the fact that human science created her, suggesting ultimately that a harmony of opposites, that even in this darkness, humanity retains the spark to rekindle the light. Now, the wolves' search for paradise can be interpreted as a quest for ecological redemption. Paradise, described as a place where the world begins anew, represents not only a spiritual destination, but an environmental one. A world restored to ecological balance. The wolves are not just seeking a better home, they participate in a cosmic cycle of planetary death and rebirth. The prophecy linking their journey to world renewal connects directly to environmental restoration. The wolves navigate through instinct and sensory awareness. Their ability to find water in deserts, sense coming storms, and follow the lunar flower scent demonstrates embodied rather than abstract knowledge, repeatedly shown as more reliable than the noble's scientific certainties. One powerful aspect of Wolf's Rain environmental narrative comes in its conclusion. Rather than a simple happy ending where paradise is found and balance restored, the series presents a more complex version of ecological cycles. The world ends, but it also begins anew, suggesting that Kiba and others continue their search in this new world. I was reminded of Battlestar Galactica's conclusion, with Gaius and Six in a new metropolis. The series suggests environmental collapse may be inevitable, but life persists and adapts beyond such collapses. The ambiguous final scene showing a modern city where a young man resembling Kiba walks through a crosswalk suggests cycles, recurring cycles, each iteration containing both potential for environmental harmony and the seeds of ecological destruction. This refusal of narrative closure aligns with nuanced environmental perspectives that reject both uncomplicated doom and gloom and technological utopianism. So now let's move on and talk about faith and skepticism in fiction. Wolf's Rain presents the philosophical tension between faith and skepticism not as opposing forces, but complementary perspectives that challenge and enrich each other. Without offering simple answers, its characters embody an ongoing dialogue about belief, questioning, and the search for meaning in an uncertain world. This philosophical tension is most clearly embodied in the relationship between two central wolf characters, Kiba and Sume, whose contrasting perspectives establish the foundational dialectic explored throughout the narrative. Kiba, the white wolf, represents unwavering faith in its purest form. From the beginning, his belief in paradise is absolute and unquestioning. When asked why he believes in paradise, he simply responds, "Because I can smell the flowers." This sensory certainty forms the basis of his faith, a direct, intuitive knowledge beyond rational explanation. Kiba's conviction propels him through seemingly insurmountable obstacles, providing purpose and direction in a world of chaos. His faith is active and propulsive, compelling him to pursue paradise, even when all evidence suggests its impossibility. In stark contrast, Sume, the gray wolf with the cross-shaped scar, initially rejects paradise entirely, dismissing it as a stupid fairy tale. His skepticism stems from disillusionment. Having witnessed cruelty from both humans and wolves, he has developed a worldview based on self-reliance and mistrust. Sume constantly challenges Kiba, questioning not just paradise's existence, but the wisdom of pursuing such an uncertain goal when survival itself is precarious. This dynamic creates the central tension of the series. What elevates the series' treatment of this theme beyond simple dichotomy is the evolutionary arc it grants the characters. Rather than maintaining static positions, both believers and skeptics transform. Kiba, despite his solid faith, is tempted by a false paradise and considers abandoning his quest. When he recommits to finding true paradise, his faith becomes a tested choice, made with awareness of possible failure. Sume's transformation moves in the opposite direction, but is equally profound. His rejection of paradise gradually softens as he forms bonds with the pack and witnesses events challenging his materialistic worldview. The turning point comes when he acknowledges to Taboe, maybe there is a paradise. By the conclusion, Sume demonstrates perhaps the most dramatic evolution, sacrificing himself for a quest that he once ridiculed. Through these character arcs, Wolf's Rain reveals that faith and skepticism are not fixed positions, but dynamic stances responding to experiences and relationships. Now, while Kiba and Sume represent the clearest embodiment of faith and skepticism, the wolf pack's other members, Hige and Taboe, add complexity to the philosophical spectrum. Hige initially presents as a pragmatist, joining the quest without either fervent belief or active skepticism. His approach might be characterized as practical agnosticism, neither affirming nor denying paradise, but following primarily for social connection. This position becomes complicated when he discovers the tracking collar around his neck and realizes that his memories were manipulated, forcing him to question not just paradise, but his own perceptions and his identity. Taboe represents hopeful openness, neither certainty nor cynicism, but an eager willingness to believe tempered by curiosity. Raised by a human, he retains both innocent trust and genuine questions about the world. His connections to both wolves and humans make him a bridge figure, seeing validity in multiple perspectives. Through these characters, Wolf's Rain expands its exploration beyond binary opposition, presenting faith and skepticism as existing on a spectrum with multiple positions possible. Now, the series further enriches its exploration through its human characters. Cher de Grey embodies scientific skepticism, initially approaching Cheza as a purely biological phenomenon to be understood through empirical scientific methods. Yet as the series progresses, she encounters phenomena resistant to scientific explanation, forcing her to expand her epistemological framework. Pawlowski's journey moves from disinterested pragmatism to engaged questioning, incorporating both empirical observations and openness to transcendent possibilities. Quint Yaden presents perhaps the most complex human perspective. Initially, he is driven by absolute certainty. The wolves killed his family. His vengeful quest represents a dark form of faith, unquestioning conviction leading to destructive action. Only when he learns that it was Taboe who rescued him from the blizzard does Quint finally change, though only as he dies. Through these human characters, Wolf's Rain extends its philosophical exploration to examine how faith and skepticism function within scientific inquiry, interpersonal relationships, and the search for justice. Finally, Wolf's Rain's prophecy that paradise will only open at the world's end establishes the series' foundational theme. Creation and destruction aren't opposites, but opposing aspects of a single process. From the earliest episodes, the wolves' quest for paradise is tied to the apocalyptic decay surrounding them. The freezing cities, the barren deserts, and societal collapse that they witness aren't obstacles, but are necessary conditions for paradise's opening. This concept mirrors eschatological traditions across cultures, perhaps most notably the Norse myth of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, where the world ends in fire and ice before being reborn anew, with surviving gods and humans creating a new, verdant earth. The wolves' journey toward paradise thus becomes not an escape from the end, but participation in the necessary cycle that brings forth new life from death. Perhaps the most visually striking representation of cyclical existence in Wolf's Rain comes through the lunar flowers, as embodied by Cheza. When the time comes to create the path to paradise, Cheza must die, fracturing into thousands of seeds. These seeds symbolize death and rebirth, connecting to actual botanical cycles where dormancy and blooming follow natural rhythms, dictated by celestial movements. When Cheza absorbs the blood of wolves and transforms back into seed form, she completes a cycle from flower to humanoid and back to flower again. This transformation is portrayed as a fulfillment, a natural cycle that enables the opening of paradise. Particularly significant is how the series connects these natural cycles to larger cosmic ones. The relationship between lunar flowers and the moon, with Cheza and the wolves physically responding to moonlight, acknowledges that cyclical patterns exist at all levels of existence, from celestial bodies to ephemeral flowers. The moon darkens every month. It dies, only to be reborn. Seasons cycle. This multi-layered approach reinforces the series' message that death and rebirth operate not just individually, but systematically, affecting everything from individual organisms to entire worlds. One philosophically intriguing aspect of Wolf's Rain is its approach to cyclical existence comes through hints that the wolf's journey is part of a larger recurring pattern, that this has all happened before and will happen again, to borrow a phrase from another cyclical narrative, Battlestar Galactica. This concept connects to Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophical idea of eternal recurrence, the notion that existence recurs infinitely across time and space. If I understand Nietzsche correctly, that is always a maybe, so take this with a grain of salt. The question becomes, what would the wolves have done differently if they knew this cycle would repeat? Would Lord Darcia act differently? Would Kiba? Could they? Rather than invalidating the character's struggles, this recurring pattern gives them meaning by connecting them to something larger than individual existence. They become participants in a cosmic cycle stretching beyond a single iteration of the world. Now, while Wolf's Rain's cyclical cosmology shares elements with various other mythological traditions, it presents a distinct perspective when compared to major religious frameworks like Christianity and Buddhism. Unlike the Christian concept of resurrection, which promises a singular, permanent transcendence after death embodied by the Easter celebration of Christ's resurrection as a one-time transformative event leading to eternal life. Wolf's Reign presents recurring cycles without a final resolution. There is no ultimate heaven or permanent paradise that ends the cycle. Similarly, though Wolf's Reign's worldview initially appears to align with Buddhist samsara, the endless cycle of death and rebirth, it diverges philosophically in its valuation of that cycle. Where Buddhism seeks liberation from samsara through enlightenment, viewing the cycle itself as suffering from which one must escape, Wolf's Reign presents cyclical existence as inherently meaningful. The wolves aren't seeking to break the cycle, but to fulfill their role within it. This perspective offers a third path distinct from both the linear eschatology of Christianity and the transcendent escape sought in Buddhism, suggesting that meaning comes from conscientious participation in natural cycles rather than their transcendence or their conclusion. Now, while Wolf's Reign creates its own mythology, its cyclical worldview connects to numerous mythological traditions beyond the previously mentioned Ragnarok. This concept of world ages ending and beginning appears in Hindu cosmic cycles. I believe they're called kalpas. Could be wrong on that. I looked it up. That's what I think it is. Mesoamerican sun cycles and Greek ages of man. Each tradition envisions destruction not as final, but as transitional. Exactly the premise Wolf's Reign builds upon. The specific connection to Ragnarok becomes most apparent in the series' apocalyptic imagery during its final episodes. The conflict between Darcia and the wolves amid a dying world evokes the final battle between gods and giants in Norse mythology. Similarly, the small group that survives to witness the new world parallels the human couple and surviving gods who populate the post-Ragnarok one. What distinguishes Wolf's Reign's approach is how it internalizes these mythological patterns into personal journeys. Unlike many cyclical myths that are operating at cosmic scales, this series shows how individual lives reflect these larger patterns. How Kiba, Tsume, Hige, Toboe, and Blue participate in cycles that simultaneously belong to them personally and belong to the cosmos broadly. The ending of Wolf's Reign proved controversial among viewers precisely because it so thoroughly commits to this cyclical theme, refusing any comfort in a simple, happy conclusion. No character gets anything more than companionship at the moment of their death, the knowledge that their sacrifice was seen, valued, and important. After the deaths of every character and the opening of Paradise, viewers are shown a scene in a modern city where a young man resembling Kiba walks through a crosswalk, while plants grow through urban cracks and rain falls. The ending emphasizes that while individual lives end, the essence of life continues in new forms, exactly the message of cyclical existence. The modern setting suggests not just character rebirth, but the rebirth of the entire world following its destruction. The controversy surrounding this ending speaks to viewers' desires for narrative closure rather than cyclical continuation. However, the ambiguity serves the theme perfectly. Cycles don't end, but rather transition. Whether the wolves found true paradise or must search again remains deliberately and intentionally unanswered, suggesting that the search itself, the cycle of seeking, is the integral part of existence. By denying viewers their neat conclusion, the series reminds us that in cyclical existence, endings are always provisional. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, to quote Semisonic's Closing Time. For contemporary viewers navigating a world of environmental uncertainty, cyclical political change, and personal transformations, Wolf's Reign offers a framework for finding meaning in change rather than in permanence. Like the wolves of the series, we may discover that our significance lies not in escaping life cycles, we can't, but in how fully and authentically we participate in them, recognizing that every ending contains the seeds of a beginning, and that destruction, however painful, always creates a space for renewal. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan on discussing the first two seasons of the original BBC Being Human from 2008 and 2009. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.